All right, we are cross country, LA to New York this time. And John, it is great to see you again.
Great to see you as well.
Looking good. As I said, you're looking good, calm, relaxed, happy. Can you just tell everybody who you are and what you do?
Sure. My name is John Glase. I am the co-founder of the website HopCare.com. And what we do at HopCare is we provide prices for basic healthcare services. So it's always been frustrating to me and my other co-founders that the healthcare industry just seems to be lagging behind every other industry when it comes to transparency and the ability to kind of shop around for the services you need. And we're trying to change that. And we started by collecting prices and aggregating a bunch of data for basic healthcare services in both to start in both the walk-in clinic and urgent care space, and also for dentists as well.
Well, I think it's brilliant to use my UK friends' terms, and especially in this day and age. I mean, in my business, healthcare is one of the top, obviously, industries, and will remain that. And it goes without saying, one of the hot topics, period, of the time. So that sounds exciting. So it segues really well into what our series is about in general, which is leadership, and you are taking the lead on a super important topic. So let me start with not simple, but
Sure.
What is your definition or your perspective, if you will, of leadership?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I've always viewed leadership as someone that can help, facilitate other people to perform at their optimum level or near optimum levels. So anything they can do to get someone to perform to the maximum of their ability and all perform with the same common goal is kind of how I would define leadership. And also someone who's not just kind of barking these demands at you and these um, trying to lead by kind of just telling you what to do, but someone who's down in the trenches with you and actually there with in the day-to-day grind and kind of taking a role of more follow me rather than go where I tell you to.
Well, there's all different conversations about command control leadership and collaborative leadership. And you might have seen my website, I always compare everything to sports. So just it's just more natural to me. But they're very, very similar. And there's a lot, I think what you're saying to a great degree is in some ways be yourself, lead by example, and make other people
right.
around you better.
Just find what your passion is and really drive towards it, and people will naturally gravitate to it.
Now you've had a pretty diverse background. Initially in a business related to what I do, executive search, with your great
Exactly.
what's about live career business and so on, and you also work with partners in your current business. So there's different types of leadership with partners, with employees,
Mm-hmm.
even with vendors, etc. How would you give us your comments on how you would determine what is the right fit leadership for working with, for example, your partners in your current business, or working with people that worked for you
Sure.
in your previous business?
I think right where I am right now in my current business at the startup level, the one of the key things that I look for in leadership and why I chose to jump into the startup world, and I found that half of the reason was because I found the right people to do it with, and the qualities that I have is, especially at this level and this early stage, is you got to have a kind of a certain mental toughness to kind of be calm and carry on, if you will. The startup world is up and down every day. I wake up in the morning either feeling like, oh, I made a mistake, or, oh, wow, this is the greatest thing I've ever done. And just knowing to kind of keep going forward and keep kind of following what your instincts tell you, and just keep learning and understanding the industry and talking to as many people as you can. Having that mental toughness to get through that is a key quality, I think, in a leader at the early startup phase. Um, then, when you look at my previous business, and I've been around, in the career space, working with a lot of people that were established and had been there for a while. The people that I viewed in leadership roles there were the people that we're always still willing to learn and to have conversations, no matter how basic they were, about the space that they're in. You can sense passion from somebody who's willing to learn. You see some people in the industry that just have their one thing and they sit on it and they're happy, and that's great, and they're happy. But the real leaders who are changing the space and are constantly evolving it are the people that are out there learning and talking to as many people as they can.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, and I get the sense that because being in the search business is kind of the same. One day, God knows all this stuff happened, but the good thing is the next day, great stuff can happen, and so you just you almost have to make it an adventure and thrive on it. And I've had leaders tell me that before, that it's the passion for sure, but it's the thriving, it's the enjoying
Absolutely.
of almost the up and down. Does that make any sense?
More excitement to it, and that's part of just embracing that is part of the culture. Also the leaders. There's more than just a monetary value to it. There's a purpose behind it, and they want to make change, make a difference, and they have a goal that they're going after outside of just kind of surface level items.
One question I didn't expect to ask you this question, but I'm going to throw it in there anyways. One question I've heard, especially over the tough time part of the recession there, where a lot of people were out of jobs, and people started doubting very confident people would start doubting themselves after they're out of a job for 3 months, 6 months, a year, to the point of even major depression. And I'm talking about super confident people before. And you wonder, how does a leader recover from, I'm talking about leadership and whatever. How does a leader recover? And for that matter, maybe even, you say open to learning and maybe even transition or change or do something different to get back. Any thoughts on that?
Like you said, you have great people, great skills that have just had struggles with finding the right fit and landing a job, and that's just kind of the nature of how things are at the time. But as long as that person, like you said, just wakes up every morning with a purpose to go out and learn something, meet new people, network, and pivot as needed. If you try the same thing over and over again and don't see results, it's time to try something new. There's something to be said about putting more hours in and working. That is always a great thing to do, but it's also about understanding when you need to do something differently in order to see better results.
Yeah, I think that's also here's my UK guy again. That's also brilliant. If it's not working, change it. And we've actually advised a lot of people to just stop looking for jobs because, and you would totally appreciate it. Looking for a job is exhausting. But if you do what you said and engage with people and be interested in them, it can really make a difference. Let me switch a little bit to social media and just new media, digital media in general, which you're obviously involved in with Career Builder, with Live Career, and even now. What's your experience on how all of that affects business, and even more directly, actions and decisions that leaders make based on on all the exposure that happens out there?
Startup business point of view, the best thing about social media and being able to make connections is that I can pretty much approach anybody that I probably would not have had the chance to approach without LinkedIn or Twitter. I can shoot messages to people that are thought leaders that might help advance my business that otherwise would have been very difficult to get in front of. And just having that power and that tool can really accelerate your learning and your business potential and just create a ton of connections for you. And then on the other side, giving consumers the power to provide feedback and have a conversation with you and your brand allows a company to learn quickly about what's working and what's not. And it just, also gives them insights into what direction they should take their business based on consumer feedback. And consumers love just creating that dialogue between companies, whether it's good feedback or bad. sharing their experiences makes them feel like they're part of the larger message of the company.
Yeah, no, I think
It
that's
depends
right. So do those
what you
thought
approach
leaders,
it
do
with.
they answer you?
You can always get someone to answer you if you pique their interest, and that's the challenge. You got to, if you're going to send a long-winded message, the chances of you getting something back is very very low. But if first of all, if you have a mutual connection, that always helps. But if you come up with something short and sweet that piques their interest, the response rate is actually pretty high.
Well, you said something I liked a lot too. We do a lot of board work as well, advisory for people trying to get on boards and board searches. And one thing we found is people get so busy sometimes they forget to keep making relationships through their career, which end up, at the end of the day, it's all about relationships, obviously skills, but relationships, especially to maybe get on boards. For younger people, we try to tell, and I hate saying that, by the way, for younger people, we've done a lot of education because there's a lot more younger people on boards now too, which is critical because they need them. But talk about how important it is to network and keep relationships going for both your personal growth and your career growth, including
has
board
been
positions.
vital to our early success, and we'd see it as continually to be vital to our future success. It's one thing to just kind of send out a tweet or to put a blog post up, but it's another thing to then take it to the next level and direct that blog post or tweet to someone in specific and try to start a conversation. The amount of advancement our business has gotten from our network and making connections and talking to people and being introduced to people has been really the driving force behind some of our early success. And, we're very good at pushing that. I'll reach out to anybody. Everybody loves to help people out. It's very, although it might feel
Right.
you might feel a little weird reaching out to people, or it might feel like you're asking too much. You'll be surprised that the majority of the time people are willing to make an introduction or just have a quick phone call with you, even if it's for 10, 15 minutes, and the knowledge that you learn from that is invaluable.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. You're right. People in general are good, and they want to help. And if you ask them right, it's absolutely correct. So, hey, what do you think in your young career?
Yeah.
What do you think's been your most interesting or challenging
anything that revolves around kind of confrontation? So it's trying to weigh and balance, being liked and likable and being an authority figure. So whether that's even kind of like negotiating the contracts, or it's where you are a manager of a team and sometimes you have to make the hard decisions for that team. It's kind of, anything, around confrontation has been some of, the more challenges, because you really, when things are going well, it's easy to be a leader because things are going well. But when things are going bad and you have to make some difficult decisions and be an authoritative figure with those decisions, that's when it's kind of a challenge. Exactly.
That's when true leadership really happens, right? Has there been an influencer?
I'm always
in your
impressed
life
by
and
anybody
for your
that
career
can
that you can share with us.
be a thought leader in an industry, someone who can evolve an industry, but can maintain a good work-life balance. And anybody that kind of goes against the social norms of what is successful, not necessarily working the 12-hour, 14-hour days and constantly on the weekends answering emails. Anybody that can really balance that work-life schedule and be happy through a number of activities and in different ways. I've always been very impressed with people like that, and some that come to mind were the CEO of my former company, Live Career. He was Jamie Frundlich, he was very good at maintaining that work-life balance, and then just some coaches from back in the day from high school. I always thought they were great at doing that, and also great at making you want to succeed for them by creating purpose. So I think those types of people have been the most influential.
Yeah, I think that's. I find a lot of people are influenced by obviously certain employers, but people back as kids and how much of an impact it makes on us is incredible. And so it's cool. Do you have someone past or present that that's been an admired
question.
leader or an infamous someone you'd love to have dinner with?
Yeah, exactly. It's a tough one too. Gosh,
Well, we try to
I
ask
would
good
have
ones. We
to
don't like bad ones.
say that being from Cleveland, Ohio, and due to his return, I've still and always been a fan of LeBron James. I was not. People always ask me after he left Cleveland,
You weren't one of those ones that burned his jersey.
Him. And I always admired him still. I've never been married, but I always thought that the relationship felt like it would be if I was divorced and that would be my ex-wife. Like I still had love for him, but I kind of hope he got fat, but now he's coming back. Yeah.
Well, as a Miami Heat fan,
Yeah.
we were like super disappointed that he left, but I will tell you I respect him
Exactly. Yeah.
immensely. Number one, as a role model, never getting into trouble, and a person at that level is always challenged to get into trouble, and he didn't, and he had enough courage to go back, and that's great leadership, and so young to have that leadership is pretty amazing too. So. Good choice.
To watch
couple
or to
of
play?
1 to 2 word answers now. We're going to get into your personal life
golf,
here.
Probably.
Really
My
deep.
favorite, yeah.
Do you have a favorite sport?
I know I'm late on this, but I'm just wrapping up the Breaking Bad, and it's been a fantastic
Awesome.
ride.
Favorite movie or TV show?
I like kind of folk music, actually. Yeah, I'd say that.
Great choice. How about favorite type of music?
Anything I can cook. I've been doing a cool online startup thing called
Very
Blue
cool.
Apron,
I like that.
where they send
And
you
favorite
ingredients
food?
and meals, and you cook it, and I've enjoyed it thoroughly. Recommend it. Yep. I will. Yep.
That's pretty awesome. When you see my son Eric at the restaurant, let him know about that. I'm sure he'd like to hear about that.
Will do.
Hey, listen, thank you so much for the time.
Thanks for everything.